And welcome to the SimmBros pod.
Yeah! Episode one, the game plan.
Day one.
Everybody lock in.
This is the first one we're doing. Kind of crazy.
Man, I mean, like, who do we get to this point? I know we always talked about it. I made some promises to people. I was like, I'm going to have a podcast with my brother one day, and I just didn't know if it was possible, but man, here we are.
Here we are. I've done the same thing, but I think it's due. I think it's time. We've worked hard to get to where we are, and I think it's important for us to share our opinions and help people out in any way we can.
I mean, couldn't agree more. Definitely want to echo, we're not experts on anything. We might not read all these scientific journals or whatever, but look, we live life and we love what we do and we work hard doing it. Just kind of want to impart some wisdom amongst the people who, will probably be teaching us as well. You know how it goes with being teacher-student relationship.
Yeah, you should always be someone who's trying to learn. If you're not trying to learn every day, that's not what life's about. But before we get into all that extra stuff, let's first introduce the show. I'm Chris.
I'm Cam.
And together, we're the Simbros.
Simbros.
Two brothers trying to navigate life in our 20s together, one day at a time.
What is it? Two bros, one no dream. What was?
I don't even remember. You put it on the thing, bro.
Two brothers, big dreams, no excuse.
No excuses. That's a big deal. No excuses.
Maybe a few.
Few excuses.
But anyway,
this podcast is all about winning in your 20s. It's about figuring out the things you can do every single day to put you in a position to be successful and build the life you always wanted. That's what we're doing right now. We hope we can learn from you, and we hope we can teach you things we've done to make ourselves into the place we are right now.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. I mean, checks and balances, because at the end of the day, you can't live a life of strictly go, 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 work, work, work. Like, it's all about moderation, and we're going to be talking about that. But you can't be too moderate now. Can't be too moderate. So you got to find that happy balance. So whether it's nutrition, exercise, finance, or just mindset overall, we're here to talk about it. We're here to discuss it. We have questions for each other because we don't obviously act the same towards similar situations, but it'll be good to just get some perspective on these particular situations.
That's great. I think that's exactly what we're going for. Perspectives and taking cues from each other, understanding what someone else does differently. Cam just mentioned saying we both act differently, but we're both kind of going towards the same goal, but we can get it different ways. And I think that's important too, that there's not a one-size-fits-all approach to life in your 20s. There's not a one-size-fits-all approach to your life in general. So what we tell you and what you see in other media sources, those are all great ideas and things, but what's most important is finding what works best for you.
Hey, man, now let's get into it, man.
Before we get any further, we got to first introduce ourselves.
I mean, come on, right?
Right? Cam, who are you?
What an excellent question. I'm Cam Simmons, 6 feet tall, 6'1". Tell your friends. No, Cam Simmons, 23, just recently graduated at American University. Go Eagles. Go Eagles. And currently working in tech sales at a startup in the Bay Area. And loving it. And I feel like even in this short year, it's almost been a full year of me working here, I've learned so much. And one of the people I've learned the most from is this guy sitting next to me, so I'll let him introduce himself.
Great intro. I couldn't even have done it better, I don't think. I'm Chris. I am the older brother of the group. I'm 25.
Boo.
I'm also 6'4".
Hey.
I'm actually 6'1". I mean, you're not taller than me. We're the same height. The graphic makes it look like whatever.
Anyway.
Doesn't matter. I'm Chris, 25. I work in tech as well. I work as a product manager at a big tech company based in the Bay Area, so we're both living up here. I went to Duke, where I was part of the basketball team there. Go Blue Devils. This is my second job in tech, so I'm kind of navigating how to see different companies, and I've worked at a startup previously, so I have experience there. Now I work at a big tech company, so there's a lot of different things and nuances that go into working in tech, and it's been a whirlwind so far, but I'm enjoying it. Definitely some stress. That's just what work is going to be. But I'm enjoying it, and I'm excited to see what goes next. And I've only been at this new job for about a month-ish, so got a lot to learn. But we're both here.
Yeah, for sure. And honestly, I think we should talk about how we even got here. I first got this job out of college. I had to move from LA, where I'm from, to HQ, which is here in the Bay Area. And I was planning on only being here for 1 year, and then potentially Chris and I were going to try to meet up in New York, try to get some tech jobs out there, or even relocate in the current jobs that we had. But kind of fate fell in our lap, didn't it, with you?
Yeah, it did. I was working remotely back in LA for a year and a half ish. And the plan was to be New York. Cam was going to be in the Bay Area for his year, like we mentioned. And then after that year, we would make our way to the Big Apple, like they call it. But then random job came up, one that I could not refuse. And there was a couple options about where I was going to be. And the one that was kind of given to me was the Bay Area. And I didn't really have another choice other than that. So, New York was kind of out of the question. And then I was like, you know what? Let's just move up here. I don't know if Cam really wanted to stay. I really didn't know. I thought
I
he was
did.
going to make me
I
live
did
here
it.
by myself.
Probably.
I'm actually glad he worked it, but again, it's expensive in NYC. So.
Yeah, no joke. Good luck to all my NYC people. I know you out there.
Yeah, so that's how we ended up here. Now we're both living together since early March.
Let's go. All right, it's time to lock in.
Why are we here? Why us? What are we doing here?
Great
Probably
question.
you've never even heard of us if you're listening for the first time.
That's on you.
So what is this for?
Why us? Are we special? Are we different? But you know what, Chris? Why are we doing this? Why now?
Yeah, we're doing this because I feel like there's a void of guiding voices and principles in life. I personally, and I think we'll both say it, we're kind of doing this for each other. If you've seen my TikToks or if you haven't, when I first started posting, it was really just for me. Some days I needed some motivation or life advice that I needed someone to tell me. So I thought, you know what? Let me just start posting. And I posted for myself, right? So why now and why us is because there's a void. I really will say this. I think there's a void of guiding voices. I need the voice. This is something I want to listen to and Cam wants to listen to. But second of all, I think a lot of our life experiences overlap with a lot of yours. And I think we're all just trying to figure out how to navigate life. And I'm glad we're able to show what we've done and hopefully learn from you as well.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. Like he said, we're not perfect. We're learning as well. We're just trying to get there and just trying to, really just like speak on our findings. In our short lives so far, just try to speak on what we've learned and things that we've picked up on and just kind of emphasize that moment.
And what have you said? You said it. We're just regular people, right? We're just regular people.
Yep. Yeah.
We haven't done anything. We don't have this special ability.
No. I don't know. I know Kenny the Jet didn't make it up, but I saw Kenny the Jet Smith, the anchor, former basketball player on TNT. He said, extraordinary people aren't special. They aren't different. They just do the ordinary extra. And I think that sentiment is probably the biggest key that we've learned is just got to do the hard things and you got to be consistent with it. And not only you have to be consistent, but you have to be disciplined. Like when it hurts, you just got to do it. And I think that's what we're trying to get out with this podcast.
Definitely. That's exactly right. That's what we're doing. A lot of times the successful people, you think, oh, they have this God-given ability. They're just better than me. They're just smarter than me. And listen, sometimes there actually are those people, which is fair. Like
true.
That happens. But a lot of times the people who are successful, the people you look up to are the ones who just do the hard things over and over again. They just continually do things more than other people, and that results in their success. So you're not someone who can't do it, right? Don't ever cop out and tell yourself, I can't do this because they're better than me. They're taller than me. They're in better shape than me. Like that doesn't matter. You can work. Because the whole thing about those people is that you can never compare yourself to a person who is richer than you or in better shape than you because you don't really know what they went through. So you can't say, wow, I really should be there or woe is me because you don't know what that person did. And that's what we're trying to tell you is that you don't need to cop out of life. You don't need to say life is over because you're not at a place or someone's better than you. You can get there. And we hope to show you how you can get there. That's what our point is. You don't need to be insanely talented at something to get there. If you are able to put in the work, you can become extraordinary. I mean, Cam, you probably have a ton of examples of this in your life so far, right?
I definitely got one. The first thing that comes to mind, honestly, was when I was able to get my finance internship. Now let me preface this by saying I did not go to an Ivy League. I was a psychology major. I was already behind the 8 ball in this particular scenario. I was not supposed to get this. And I'm not trying to sound like LeBron, like I'm not supposed to be here. But I was not supposed to get it, honestly. My grades were not like they were not fantastic. They were good, but they were not again, Ivy League level. And I remember that summer before my junior year, I applied to every single finance internship I could get. And honestly, every single one said no, besides one. And guess what? Oh, that's all it takes sometimes, man.
That's all great, but you didn't really tell us what you did. Coming from a non-target school, psychology major, not great grades.
All right.
How did you get there? How did you find yourself into a top-level finance internship?
Yeah. I mean, I already knew that my knowledge, off rip, my knowledge for, my finance knowledge and the knowledge that would be necessary to succeed in this internship was already at a spot much less than everybody else's. I didn't go to class every day to learn about EBITDA or how to, what are some other finance, the balance,
DCAs,
all that. I'd never even heard of it really. And so I knew that during this interview process that I would be asked about these questions and I would be required to have good answers, if not correct answers. So I studied all night. I looked at all these tables, looked at all these sheets, watched all these videos to just get a hint of a grasp of what I can talk about. And honestly, it took a lot out of me. But I'm so thankful I did, because when those questions came up in the interview, you bet I was ready to answer them.
Grew up every night. Ready?
Yeah.
Like, how often?
Yeah, I mean, I would call you all the time and I would tell you about it. Is this worth it? I would have these doubts. Like, what am I doing? Is this worth it? Like, I'm not even getting these answers anyway.
Yeah.
I should probably stop, find another job. But you told me, and I appreciate this, you told me to keep going. You told me it's going to all come to fruition one day. It's all going to pay off one day. And I appreciate that, because it did. And that honestly opened a lot of doors for me. And without that, it also taught me that, sometimes you really got to just put in the work. You really got to put your head down and you got to learn.
You weren't special. You had a lowest chance of most people to get that job, right?
Exactly. I mean, honestly, since you told me about, keep working hard and keep going, where did that come from for you? Where did you get that? Where did that start?
I think it kind of started similar to you. I mean, when I was starting out, when I was younger, I was never, the smartest person. I could feel like I felt like, and even my parents would say this, right? They would tell us this, even though they'd probably lie about it. They probably thought I was going to be a B student-ish around there, right? I was doing my best, but I didn't really have the it factor. And I knew it. I didn't feel like I was naturally smart. And if you ever meet us in person, you'll probably say Cam is much smarter than me, because
not even a
like
doubt.
Yeah, it really does come off like that. He sometimes will be like, "How did you even get into Duke? How did you do this?"
I still don't know. Okay, before we get into this, who at admissions let this guy in?
Yeah, exactly.
Were we talking about the same person?
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway,
so yeah, I think
kidding, of course.
I think it was kind of like 4th or 5th grade. When you're in the classes, right? And at first, I was always more on the above average intelligence, I'd say, but I was never super smart. But whenever we, split up into the A group and the B group for reading and for math, I was always in the A group. And then I think it was 4th grade or 5th grade, one of those years where I was like, when you're getting ready for something and they expect your name to be called for the group to go outside, because that was the big group. My name didn't get called. All my friends were going out there. Shout out Danny if you're listening to this. Danny was my best friend and we would always be there, but Danny is always way smarter than me. I knew that, right? I was trying to keep up. So Danny goes outside to our regular class, or to the advanced class, and I'm stuck inside. And I'm like, no disrespect, but I should be out there, right? So I think that's what lit a fire under me. I think.
Wow, 5th grade.
Yeah, I was just I want to be outside. I've always been a high achiever, right? In everything. Yeah. I want to be in that outside group.
Right.
I don't want to be in the non-advanced math group or the non-advanced reading group. So I don't know. Maybe it was just me and my 5th grade brain trying to figure things out. I just knew I had to do more to get to where I wanted to be, because I wasn't as naturally smart or gifted as other people.
So, yeah, what did you do more?
Yeah, every night, most nights at least, it was Brain Quest with Dad.
Wow. Oh, my God.
As much as it was the 5-minute math. I was doing those at home because I would get Mom to print out the 5-minute math thing.
Yep.
and try to do it as fast as possible. This is what I was starting to do because I knew it was important to me. And I didn't even really think about why I was doing that. But I guess now when I look at it, it's because I knew I had to put in more work. I knew that in order to get to the place I wanted to be, it might not have been as easy as most people, right? So I had to do a bit more, right? And it ended up working out enough for me. But it was all because of 3rd, 4th, 5th grade advanced classes. As young as you are, you kind of know. And I knew I wanted to be a high achiever. And I had to figure out how I was going to get there. So that's where it started for me. And then ever since, it's always been like, I got to do more. I got to just keep trying because I know I'm kind of behind the 8 ball in some situations. Like, I'm not as naturally smart as you.
No.
I had to figure my way out. So, that's what got it for me.
I mean, there you have it, folks. We're not special. We'll echo this a lot. But sometimes, instead of saying "woe is me," instead of feeling sad for yourself, feeling sorry for yourself, pick yourself up by your bootstraps, and put in the work.
Yeah.
And I'm sure, like, if you're listening to this, guess what? You already did.
Yeah. Even if you're not at the place you want to get to. And I think that's kind of a great segue into the second thing I want to talk about is just that mindset, the importance of having that mindset in your 20s, right? In life, right? Is that it's not over, and that just because you're not as gifted as somebody else doesn't mean you can't get to where that person got to. I think that's so important. I think for me, where this looks at a lot is I'm in a job right now that is very engineering focused. To be a product manager in most tech companies requires some sort of technical background and acumen.
And you're not very engineering focused.
No, I never was an econ major, right? Like, this is not something, I never knew how to code besides a couple classes I took. Yet I'm telling engineers what to do or how to build things, right? And the reason why I got there is because in my job previous to this, I knew I wanted to be a product manager. I wasn't a product manager at that job, but I knew I wanted to. Pretty funny. Every night on my calendar from 7 p.m. to 8:30, I had a Udemy Python course and like Udemy coding courses that I would take. And the first year was tough. I felt like, I started off really early and things were working well. And then I was like, I hit a bump because things just got a little more advanced for me. But every night meant doing some sort of coding project, doing something I could. And it was pretty funny because some of the people I worked with, you can see their calendars and they would always look at me and be like, why do you have like Udemy Python on your calendar for Monday through Friday? They knew because I knew what I wanted, right? I knew what I wanted to become. And in order to do that meant me working harder than people who have an engineering degree, than people who have a computer science degree. That's what I had to do. And that's why I think that mindset is so important to be successful in your 20s. I don't deserve this, right? Like, I didn't have a CS background. So why should I get into the place I am right now? Because I put in the work. Because I knew that I'm not that far off if I just do a little bit of extra work.
You hear that?
I mean, I heard it. I said it.
Classic.
But yeah, I think that's just like what the thing is. And so many people don't get it and don't understand that that's all it takes. I mean, I'm sure you have a ton of other stories for yourself too about just like this type of mindset or what mindset you think takes you toward the next level in your 20s right now, or even in your job, in your life right now, right? And this is not just about me. Cam's a pretty spinning image of having this type of mindset in your 20s as well. I mean, you've done a lot so far that's impressed me.
I appreciate that. Yeah. I impressed myself. What can I say? Okay.
Great.
So, no. Yeah. The way I looked at it, well, I think when you're in college, you kind of go wild. It's probably like the first time you have a lot of like freedom to do whatever. If you want to eat cake for breakfast and chips for dinner, who's going to stop you? If you want to sleep for 3 hours and then 16, who's going to stop you?
Nobody.
If you ain't got classes, no one's going to stop you, right?
Nobody.
College was definitely a time of, you're kind of just figuring yourself out. You're figuring life out. But man, when that, right after you get that diploma, life kind of hits you in the face and you're like, whoa, I'm an adult now. I got to go to work every day. Kind of like high school again, or, I don't have, maybe I have a class or two today in college, but no, in high school, it's like every day I'm there at a certain time and I leave at a certain time. And it's kind of what it's like now again. And so I realize how important the mindset that you have in your 20s is, especially because we have a lot of time to go. right? We got a lot more of this to do. And compound interest is so important. And yes, I know you're probably thinking, okay, he's probably talking about finance or something.
Yeah.
No. Compound interest, I'm talking about that for everything in life. The effort that you put in now is going to pay dividends over time. And it only will it will be exponentially better as time goes on. And that's the thing. It's really hard to do that now. This is with investing, with anything in life. It's hard to do it now because you are putting in a lot of effort, a lot of resources into it, and you don't see that much success, right? You don't see that much growth or dividends, if you will. But man, over time, over a long period of time, it's pretty nice. And you can kind of see how important starting off with a determined mindset can be.
I think that determined mindset's important. I think it's actually, I wanted an example from you, and I think the food, the way you've gone about eating now has impressed me. And I think that is kind of what you're talking about with compound interest. Can you just talk a bit further about how you sort of changed your diet?
Yeah, for sure. So I kind of changed the way I thought about food. I really started out chicken and rice, and I would probably have that, I'm sure everybody's heard of it, but I probably would have that 5-6 times a week, if not 7. And, it was cool. Like, it wasn't bad, but, I never really felt like fulfilled, or I never really felt like this is a good meal and this is not sustainable, really. And so I kind of changed my mindset into let me get the most amount of protein possible. And so I actually replaced the carbs with extra protein and vegetables, trying to stay in the same calorie count. And honestly, like I've never felt better. And I also am seeing great results. I'm seeing great success from this. And it really was just a mindset change. It was not easy at first. There were times where I was like, oh, I got to eat this again. And then you kind of just get into that flow. You get into the groove where it's like, I can't wait, And talk about how that sort of feel out process where it's really difficult at first, but over time, it almost becomes painful to not do it.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's the kind of the quote I think about. It doesn't really get easier. You just get better and you just get more comfortable, right? The only way to get comfortable at something is to just do it more, right? That is what happened with you. You probably were like, I don't really know if I want to eat this chicken with this steak and this pork with no rice. I don't know how he does it. I personally cannot, but he does, right? And he has, strawberries or fruit mostly as the carb sources, right? But, it's probably tough for you at first, but now you're doing it and you're enjoying it. And like you said, it's painful when you don't do it. For us, for people who work out pretty often, it's painful when we don't work out. It's like, I don't feel right. I don't feel like I'm that person who I just have all this pent up energy and stuff. Like I just need to, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't feel right because we've done it for so long. It's become a part of our lives. And that's the point of this mindset, right? When you consistently do things that you don't like often, it actually becomes a part of your life. And then you seek out doing more of those things. And if you don't do that difficult thing that day, you actually want to, or you'll try to find something else that's difficult. And that is what separates the good from the great people.
Yeah, and I agree. Also, when you do the difficult things, your outlook on life improves. And I think I use improves as a very, very low stakes term because it really completely upends itself in the best way possible.
Yeah, you're underselling it when you say improves.
I mean, you look at life like, what's next? Yep. I can't wait for this next challenge. I'm ready for it. I'm gonna go head on right through this wall. Right? Instead of, God, here we go again. It's another thing. It's another problem. No. When you do the hard things consistently, your whole mindset will change. Keep doing those.
Keep doing those. And speaking of a hard thing, this is also a podcast. We're not just going to talk about life advice, which is great. We're both huge sports fans, both from LA, as we mentioned. I also want to talk about sports because this is also our life. We watch sports all the time. And sometimes my friends who don't watch as much sports are always like, why is there another game on the weekend as opposed to going to dinner? When I'm like, hey, the first round of the NBA playoffs are on. They're like, we just watched the NCAA tournament championship. I'm like, yeah, I know. And the Masters was the next week. It just keeps going. So So this is also going to be a sports podcast, and we just wanted to do, before we got out of here, if you made it this far, first of all, congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
And congratulations.
Yes, thank you. All right. We want to do some sports talk, some Laker talk, and just the state of where the NBA playoffs are at the moment. Cam, I'll let you get it started because it's tough to watch with him. It's tough to watch Laker games with him, I'll tell you that much.
I'm telling you, I'm losing my voice a little bit yelling at Jackson Hayes. How about that? How about that? See, I'm already doing it again. Sorry, I got to calm down. But yeah, watch this Laker game. Big Laker fans. I don't know what to do. This team, Lakers obviously lost earlier today to the Minnesota Timberwolves, down 3-1 in the series. This team is just not it. Definitely not enough to win a title. I'm hoping we could have won the series. It's obviously still possible. It's 3-1, but the chances are just so unlikely now. LeBron just played 46 minutes.
Yeah, 46.
When was the last time he played 46 minutes?
You said probably 2018.
2018 against the Cavs when he played all 48 minutes and took
every other game.
Or sorry, against the Celtics.
Yeah, game 7.
What are we doing? What are we doing?
Yeah. I think the main thing I took from that is that Anthony Edwards is the best player in the series. And
I mean, he might be one of the best players
exactly.
in the NBA.
Oh, no, he is. I mean,
I'm talking about like top 2, top 3. Like
I'm saying not
Shea,
many people want to hear it. Listen, so I was thinking about it. Not many people want to hear it. He's been way better than Luka Doncic. Even though Luka has put up these great numbers, you don't feel him in these games. And down the stretch, and the whole game, honestly, you felt his presence in the game. Yeah. And it wasn't just scoring. I mean, he had 43 tonight, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't just scoring.
He was at the top. He was at the top of these defensive sets. So, and they were switching everything. He was just there.
Yep.
It was LeBron, it was AR, it was Luka, Doe, whoever it was, he was sitting on it. He was waiting.
And he's doing that at all times. Played
the entire second half, by the way, too.
Playing with all that competitiveness. And like you were saying, I know you're going to go through the best players in the league. I think Jokic sits there, and I think you could probably put Giannis at 2. And after that, I think it's up for debate.
I mean, I don't even know about Giannis anymore.
I think Giannis is pretty
Where are you putting Shea then?
Somewhere with Ant.
And I always was an Ant believer. God.
I didn't think he would make this jump playmaking-wise.
It's these step-through drive. Like, he'll drive, pump fake, everybody jumps, step through.
The second step, I think it's a travel. The Lakers are asking for a travel. You keep telling me it's not a travel.
I don't think it's a travel. The one time he did travel.
But he missed the lane.
Dude, they're all clean. And that's his move. Because, you're going to jump for the pump fake. He's already in the paint.
Yep.
But God, I mean.
Yeah, and I think we don't need to talk too much Lakers as well. I want to talk just like the whole other playoffs, but I think the Anthony Edwards piece is kind of a broader beacon, an indicator towards how it works. If you have the best player in the series, you have a chance. I mean, a lot of people were picking the Lakers. Pretty much most people were. I think they were like minus 200 favorites to start, right? That's because they expected Luka Doncic to be the best player, right? And when you have the best player, you usually have a puncher's chance, if not like a great chance. And you see that with the Clippers and Nuggets series. You probably thought the Nuggets were done going down 2-1 to the Clippers at home. But guess what? They have the best player in the series. As well as Kawhi has been playing, they have Nikola Jokic, who had, 35, 22, and something. Ridiculous. When you have the best player in the series, same thing with Milwaukee.
How many games is that series going?
It's got to go 7. I mean, I think everybody knew
It's going 7? Who you got then?
To be honest, I got the Clippers in 7.
I also have the Clippers.
It's tough. I think they will outdo them, but you can't put Jokic. You can't put anything past Jokic. It's the same thing with Milwaukee too, right? They're down 2-1 right now, but they have the best player in the series. So what do you think?
That one's going 7. I've had to put money on anything. Indiana's going 7. I got Indiana winning at home.
Yeah, it's probably difference.
I think this is going to be a home game series.
Oh, I like that point.
Where because these Milwaukee or these Indiana shooters cannot shoot in Milwaukee.
Mm-hmm.
It's tough to watch. I got Giannis doing his thing. Trent, shout out Gary Trent. He's doing his thing. But he's not going to do it again. I hate to break it to you. It ain't going to happen again. He had 37. He will not have 37 again. Not even close. His next best games will be game 4 and game 6 when they're in Milwaukee. But other than that, I don't see it happening.
Yeah, I agree. I think that'll be interesting. I think Indiana could steal tonight. Yeah. I think Milwaukee needed a Herculean effort from Gary Trent, like you were saying, to even win that game. So if Dame's not his full self.
Say Dame hasn't even been Dame. I know he has a shoulder blood clot thing. But.
Yeah, but I guess your two things can be true.
Yeah.
If he's not Dame yet, then what are we going to do? So I think that's important. And I think these games, besides those 2 Eastern Conference series and the Memphis OKC series, They've been intense, and the playoff basketball, it feels like a different sport to me. It's like football out there.
It's completely different. I mean, loose balls in the in the regular season, no one cares about. Yeah, let it go out of bounds. Who cares? I mean, we're diving.
There's that DFS and who?
And Julius Randle.
Literally, you said it. This is why you're going to talk about it.
Oh, yeah, Julius Randle. I was like, dude,
he never jumps, bro. He never dives on the floor.
No, they're not diving for that ball. Braun is not diving. Yeah, I'm glad Ant didn't get hurt. But Braun is not diving for that in the regular season.
No.
He's probably not even diving for that in the playoffs unless Ant antagonizes him a little bit, which I like seeing.
If they're up 2-1, he's not diving.
True. Yep. Yeah, I love the playoffs. We have to talk about this Knicks Pistons series. That last game, first of all, the Knicks are going to win in 5. It's okay. Pistons, shout out the Pistons, man. I mean, 14 and 62 last year?
That adds up to 76, but close.
14 and 68. Sorry, I had to them.
You put it out there. You don't have to say their actual record.
Yeah, I just know they won 14 games last year. And now they're 6th place in the East. Whatever. First of all, shout out Cade Cunningham, one of my favorite players.
You watched him in person this year at the Lakers. This was the first time I was like, oh, he's different. Oh, he's like that.
Yeah.
So calm.
Controls the pace.
Couple turnovers, but I think it's been a great series, but I also think this is kind of the Knicks Pistons another example of the Warriors Rockets is another example too, where it's experienced teams versus inexperienced teams. You see the Pistons up 12, I think. They went up 12. Early start of the fourth. Then from there, we were just like, how are they going to blow this? Right?
It's going to happen.
Because, they're young. They've never been there. And I think that's also something. Like, we'll talk about more about that in life. But experience also matters.
Experience matters.
Like, you just have to go through it. You sometimes have to go through a bad thing so that you don't experience it later. The Knicks have been through a lot. A lot of their players have been through deep playoff runs. Cat was in the conference finals last year. Jalen Brunson, Josh Hart, they were also in the semifinals last year, right? And tough 7-game series. So they've been through it.
Y'all gonna talk about OG?
OG too.
OG got a ring, bro.
That's true. I forgot.
Yeah, I know you did. I could tell.
Yeah, okay. But so that's the difference versus every single person on the Pistons besides Tobias Harris and
Malik Beasley.
Yeah, I guess, but did we
barely,
count him?
Barely.
So that's the difference, right? The experience. Same thing with the Rockets. I mean, Steph Curry and Draymond Green have more playoff games combined than,
probably all of them.
Yeah,
definitely all of them.
All 15 of the roster.
Yeah, literally.
Probably just Steph himself.
Yeah, Steven Adams, Dylan Brooks, Van Vliet.
Yeah.
And those are the only guys really with playoff experience.
Yep.
Right?
I think so.
Yeah. They're a good team, a very good team, and they will be good.
Yep.
Same with the Pistons, but it's just not their time yet.
Not yet.
They went up against the wrong matchup. And it's unfortunate for them, but the good thing is that they will be good for years to come.
Definitely. Excited to see what comes with this week's playoffs, this week's games, see who wins, advances. Hopefully next week we're talking about some Game 7s. That would be great.
That would be cool.
But yeah, that'll be it for the sports segment, but we definitely want to talk about sports as often as possible. We didn't get to the draft today. We might want to talk a bit more about the Shedeur drop and all that, and what we have any thoughts. But we'll get to that later. We'll save that for next time.
Do the Shedeur.
Yeah, so this was kind of what we're going to do.
Yeah.
Interesting, right? we kind of got to the end. If you got here, wow, I don't even know if I'm going to get here when I listen to it. Yeah. So yeah, this is episode 1, day 1 of Simbros.
The game plan.
The game plan of your life.
There's nobody else I want to go on this journey with than the guy sitting next to me, man.
Yep.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Coming up on this podcast, like we mentioned, will be a lot of different things. There'll be nutrition breakdowns, how to manage your finances, how to run a marathon, how to just manage your life, and a lot of different moving parts to be as successful as possible. Because remember, this is all about winning life in your 20s and beyond.
Yeah, and we're going to go very high level, and we're going to go very detailed at times because, at the end of the day, there's no detail too small when it comes to success and when it comes to your life, man.
Yep.
Let's go.
Before we get out of here, Cam has a challenge for you.
Yeah, so this is another thing we're going to do. Again, if you made it this far, thank you. But for the challenge of the week, I just want you to think. You don't have to do it yet, but just think of one thing you want to do to improve your life. This is very vague. I hear you. Don't worry about it. But just think of one thing you can do to improve your life. Make sure it is quantifiable and make sure it's measurable. If you just say, for example, I want to eat better, that doesn't really mean anything. But if you actually say something more specific, like, I want to be in a calorie surplus for 4 out of the 7 days of the week, that is a very
attainable.
That is an attainable goal, but it's also a goal that you can measure your success on.
Yeah, because goals are always about the vaguer the goal, the less you can really measure
Exactly.
yourself against it or even do it.
Right. And then it's like, well, I haven't been eating better. It's
Yeah.
Like, well, what does
Well,
that
then what
even
does that even
mean?
mean?
Yeah, exactly.
So
Same page.
whatever you have, whatever you're thinking of today, this week, make a goal for yourself and make it quantifiable so at the end of the week, you can actually see your progress. Well, that's all for this week. Hope you enjoyed the first episode, and we'll see y'all next week.
Stay locked.